Today we're here on our panel where it's called Let's Talk About It. So it's Tuesday, June 9th. We are in the midst of a global pandemic and also some social unrest in our country. We're in an election year, just approaching the summer here in North Carolina where things are finally starting to get warm. The weather's just been kind of topsy-turvy for like the last 6 months. We couldn't tell if it was winter or summer or what was going on. So we're fast approaching, just got past Mother's Day, Memorial Day. Did anybody get a chance to do anything for Memorial Day?
So it wasn't that much.
So it's been an interesting year so far. I think we had New Year's. That was it, right?
Yeah.
I know. I mean, I'm serious. Like that was it, right? Like
Well, we got through the primary in March.
right.
We got through that. The primary went well. There was a lot of activity prior to that, a lot of events. There was a lot of things scheduled, and then shortly after that, pretty much had to shut everything down.
So tell me about, for those that may not know and understand, tell me about the primaries. What is that?
Well, the primary gives an opportunity for candidates. Well, you've already filed and had your committee to run for office.
Which means you just a regular person
That's right. That's right.
and you want to run for a political office
Right, now I
in
can
your
speak
community.
to it locally because that's what I chose to do, run for county commissioner, and you follow your guidelines, you form your committee, and you get with the Board of Elections. And with that piece, it's not something that you can jump into without preparation. I believe it takes time, consideration, a lot of conversation with your own personal family, because it's truly something to be done from the heart and from your head. And to do it right, you've also got to be able to align yourself with your community and your family, and then make sure you've got time to devote. So it's not something you can take lightly. So with that being said, schedule-wise, you follow your timeline, you submit, you have your treasurer, you follow all the rules and regulations that go along with having a campaign. And I, Melissa Nieder, ran for county commissioner, the Need Nieder campaign, and that was something that I will always be so thankful for this community for supporting me through that endeavor. It's priceless, just the support.
So prior to that, had you ever been in politics?
Not at all, not at all. I've always been active in the community, born and raised in Iredell County, and I've always enjoyed being active. I can't walk past a situation without thinking, how can I help? What can I do? So being in McDonald's, my husband and I own and operate local McDonald's, has always positioned me to be able to see the need of the community. I call that real world, working in the public.
Yeah, most definitely.
And with that piece, you know, our employees, hearing what they go through, just growing up and being active and being involved with nonprofits, being involved with churches and all, I'm like, you know what? I am not just a logo on a t-shirt. I need to take it to that next level. So I took it to the next level with support of my family. My kids have been absolutely amazing. They were what I call my committee. I had folks say, how did you do this? You didn't follow the normal expectations. And I said, well, I think that's part of what my appeal is, that I don't always fit into a box of what people think you have to be.
Awesome.
So, yep, the primary came and went, and I was successful at securing a spot on the ticket for the general election this fall.
Awesome.
So that was,
Congratulations.
thank you. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I am excited. So, and that is one of the things that I believe it's so important that we understand how local government works. And I'm still learning on some of these pieces of the ins and outs and the details. But what I feel is, please, 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 get to know your candidates and vote. That is so important to me, because when someone believes in me enough to fill in that circle beside my name, that's the biggest compliment, to know that they believe in me, and I'm going to work hard for the folks. So when you circle a name in there, it means a lot. But don't not vote because you don't know someone. There's no excuse
Right.
anymore not to get to know
Yeah.
your candidates.
Yeah.
Because I hear that a lot. It's like, oh, I don't vote because I don't know anyone on there.
Well, in this social climate too,
Yeah.
and in this climate where your information is in your hand.
Yeah.
So, how if I don't know anything,
Mhm.
how could I know who's running?
Board of Elections has great information, and again, utilize the websites. That's a great way. If you do not have an internet connection, the library is a great source. Beth, help us a little bit on that one too.
All the public libraries have public access PCs where you can go online and you can research the candidates. You can go and the local media, they'll run Get to Know Your Candidate, and they ask them certain questions, and then they'll run those in online in the paper and things of that nature. Or you can go to the Board of Elections and get their information. They have
Tell me who
candidate
you
profiles.
are and what you
I'm
do.
sorry,
That's okay.
Beth Jones, and I'm the county manager here in Iredell County.
So tell us about so the next holiday would have been Easter, or if you.
Oh, we're going down to the
Right.
calendar from
I'm
where all
just
this-
curious,
yeah.
yeah, I'm just curious, because this timeline has been really different this year, so I'm
Yes.
just kind of curious about what you guys have been doing.
Well,
Tell me
I
about
know
your-
Beth's work has almost doubled, feeling like
It has.
with the county.
As far as county operations, when a global pandemic hits, that's when county employees they hit the ground running, and those are the employees that answer the call when there is a crisis. So when everybody else was kind of shutting down and sheltering in
Right.
place, and the stay-at-home order applied to them, county employees, EMS, they were the ones that were out there running the calls, and any of those calls, 911 communications, they were answering the phones, they were screening the calls. If anything was suspected of COVID-19, only EMS went. We didn't send any first responders because we wanted to keep everybody as safe as possible. When you've got unprecedented unemployment rates, you've got a lot of need that's out in that community. So your social services with food nutrition services and things like that, the magnitude of the applications that were coming in were and still are unreal, because our economy is really hurting. And
So you
our
kind of
citizens are really
manage
hurting.
all of that?
I
You
do.
manage
We
all
have-
the departments
I
in
do.
the
We have
county
26
as far-
different county departments, and I'm responsible for the day-to-day operations of all those county departments. And they range from the health department that's doing all your close contact tracing and
Right.
working directly with the COVID patients and doing the mass testing sites throughout the community. That's a county department. Your public libraries, they actually closed and then reopened by appointment only to students because they had to do remote learning.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And
didn't
some
know
of our
that. That's good
students
to know.
don't have internet
Oh, wow.
access.
Exactly.
There's a huge portion of our northern end of our county that cannot get internet access. It is just a dead zone
Wow.
there. So we opened our libraries to those students to be able to come in and use our Wi-Fi and use our public computers. We had socially distanced workstations out for those students, grades 6 through 12.
And that was at the Harmony, the
Harmony,
Troutman.
Troutman, and Statesville libraries. So we opened our branches to those students to make sure that they could complete their learning, because the school facilities were closed.
And they
some
were
of them-
utilizing it.
And they were utilizing it.
Now, are they going to be available for the summer as well?
What we're doing for the summers, we're shifting. Now that school is out, we're shifting, and we're allowing adults to come in by appointment only to use that Wi-Fi and use those public PCs to file for unemployment, to do job searches, to do things like that. Part of our problem is we can't open the library to the general population for them to navigate the stacks because of the touching of the materials, and they say that we can't properly clean because we don't know what books have been touched, so we
Right.
can't allow people to go into the stacks. But we can allow people to contact us, and we'll pull the materials, we'll put them on hold in reserve, and then they can come pick them up.
Oh, that's great.
But then
That's
as
a
far
great
as people
idea.
coming into our branches, now that the students are finished with school, we're going to open it up to adults that don't have internet access, that need help filling out their unemployment applications, that need help looking for jobs, and things of that nature.
And
So,
Now,
when
do
will that
they-
happen? I'm sorry.
we've already done that. We started that June 1st.
So now, will they have to have, was it membership?
No, they just have to call and make an appointment.
Okay.
They have to call and make an
Wonderful.
appointment at one of the branch locations, and we're reserving spots because we're limited regarding capacity. But we're reserving spots, and we're going to do it that way.
Okay.
So there's a lot of different county departments, and again, those services are needed, and we've answered the call for those services.
So as we continue to go around our table, you've heard from Treva Miller. Probably can't tell which one of us is talking because she has her mask on. So Treva works for the school system. So kind of tell me what that looked like for you as all of these things started to transpire with COVID-19 and how that affected your work and the kids and just kind of what that started looking like for you.
So actually, can you hear me okay?
Mhm.
Okay, so actually, the students and staff, we had spring break the first week of March, like March the 9th through the 12th or 13th. And then they were gonna come back on that Tuesday, and they ended up extending spring break, not knowing what was gonna happen. So basically, students have not been in school since like March the 6th, whatever that week was before spring break. So a lot of staff and parents were and still concerned because, as she said, not everyone has access to
Right.
internet or Wi-Fi.
Right.
They were issuing computers, but you know, some of the students
You
didn't
don't
have
Wi-Fi. It doesn't
Wi-Fi
matter
or
that you have a-
transportation to go get it. And I did talk to some parents that was just unable to help their children with their
Right.
work from the internet.
Right.
So that became a major concern for us as staff and, you know, working in the school.
Right.
And that's actually one of the reasons that we did that. So we immediately shifted our library staff, kind of became tutors to help those students. So if there were parents that were
wow,
having some
awesome.
difficulty, so you know what we tried to do is we tried to adjust and shift and address the need. Because I mean our community was really and still is
It's
really
hurting.
hurting,
Right,
and
right.
you know that's what we've tried to do is shift our service delivery to address whatever the most important need is at that point, and that's what we've done
Right.
with our library system. Our iPads,
That's awesome.
our public transportation system, they were out there delivering meals, and they had offered to transport any of those students that didn't have transportation to the libraries to do their work. They would go pick them up
Oh, wow.
and transport them. So
Anytime you guys have information like that, please tell us. I didn't
absolutely.
realize that. That's amazing. That is
absolutely.
amazing. So, speaking, when we get to talking about the economy and those kinds of things, we come to these two ladies. One of them works in a business. I'm very curious. Tell me who you are and where you work, and just tell me a little bit about what happened with your business.
Well, my name is Adrian, and I work in automotive sales, and I work for Lake Norman Hyundai, and when COVID happened, half of the team was laid off because car sales was considered non-essential. The only thing that was open was the automotive, the repair department. So a lot of us got let go, we just got picked back up. The unfortunate thing is, those who were let go, we have to start all over. We
With your
lost our
commission.
seniority, we lost everything, so we're considered new employees again. So it didn't really affect us, but we do have a great team there. It is a great company to work for. So I'll still have my existing customers. They weren't reassigned to anyone, so I'll be able to pick up. So hopefully it'll take me probably about 60 days to get back to where I was and to be able to reach out to my customers. And I did reach out to a lot of them while I was out just to make sure everything was okay. Hyundai did allow a lot of customers to kind of extend their payments. So if they lost their job due to COVID, they were given, you know, a chance to put those payments on the back end. So that was a good thing. So
Yeah, I was really curious about that because I know your business, as far as business went. Did you see that? And I know you guys are tons.
We're actually
of,
hiring.
right.
And we kept continuous
Yeah.
because with McDonald's, what we did was we shifted things around for those who felt uncomfortable working. We guaranteed them a job back at the end whenever they're ready to come back. We've had some come back,
Right.
some that have not.
Right.
So it's been
Interesting.
adjusting.
But you
Right.
all done something great for the school system,
Yeah.
where you all fed the students. I'm not sure
For
how many
weeks.
times or days.
It was
but
for weeks.
That
For
was
weeks,
for
we
weeks, so
did.
that was awesome,
Yeah.
because, you know, the
Thank
school
you.
system started providing food for the kids, because as we know, unfortunately, there are some kids that's what they depend on, is,
That's right.
is, you know, nutrition from school. And so the schools were providing where they were having buses go out into the neighborhood. So McDonald's, you all were wonderful enough to,
Thank you.
partner with Ideal Station Schools to,
Thousands of lunches went out, and then we did healthcare work. We put out over 6,000 meals in 1 week, just with
Wow.
our stores and help and support. So it's been interesting, to say
Right.
the least. But now it's
Do you
like,
feel like everything is back to normal?
not yet.
No.
they have you all open
No.
your dining?
Not yet.
yes,
Yeah, we're
things have
still.
picked up. They're back to normal.
We
They're
are-
still social distance.
It's been interesting to watch the body language and the consumer. Because it's been so tense,
Right.
to put it mildly.
Right.
We saw a drop in complaints. Well, at first there's a lot of complaints, then we saw a drop for a little while. Then we saw a spike come back in with just complaints, even when we're trying to do our best with the situation.
Right.
And so you can kind of feel the tension.
Right.
So it's really not us
Right.
but it's, I mean, I'm not
People are
saying
still
that-
uncomfortable.
Right,
Period.
Mhm.
yes.
So-
And it's very hard to address, and yes, we're to wear masks
Right.
in the restaurant now, and
Right.
it's part of the uniform.
Right.
Just like socks and shoes.
Right.
You wear your mask.
So people
and
feel
then-
comfortable.
Correct.
You're
Right.
open.
Handling the
Are
food.
you
Right, I was
open in
thinking-
the inside?
Not yet, we're still getting our everything in place
Are
because
you
it's-
open in the inside?
We're open and inside, yes.
Yes.
Are the county office, is everybody back at work?
Yes, we do have some employees that are still working remotely, and what we did with that, we couldn't close county departments, and we couldn't send everybody home, so we contacted our staff and said, if you have a clinically diagnosed compromised immune system, we have an employee health clinic, notify the employee health clinic, we'll go through an approval process, and if we can clear you to work from home, and we can give you enough work for you to work from home, we want you to be safe.
That was
And
the best
so,
thing that I saw when people were doing it that way.
We did that, but everybody, we couldn't close.
You can do everybody.
Yeah,
right?
we still had to provide those services. We still had to be here to work. But those employees that did have compromised immune systems, we wanted them to get as safe as possible. And if we could allow them to work from home, we did that.
Right.
It was a very small percentage that actually did that. And we had several that did have compromised immune systems, and they said, absolutely not. This is when you need me, and I'm not leaving. Which is amazing.
Right.
That,
Wow.
I mean, that's a true heart of a public servant right there. That's huge. But, you know, so we did that, we changed our service delivery. We finally got the word out to the public that we can still provide services to you, and we can do it remotely, and we can do it electronically. So we've had services that were online that we've had for years, and people were just so used to coming in because they like that face-to-face interaction, which is great. But then when they didn't want to come in and have face-to-face interactions, we could still provide those services.
Can
So
you
we
give
were
an
able.
example?
A great example is, for example, our building standards department, our central permitting, and construction was still continuing because that was deemed essential. So construction was still continuing.
Oh,
So
wow.
people were still pulling permits, contractors were still building, we had to still go out and inspect. So, but what was happening is they were submitting plans electronically, we were reviewing them, we were sending back comments electronically, people were pulling permits electronically. And normally they're used to coming in and having paper shifting back and forth and talking to people.
Right.
So we've had those services available for years, but nobody really took advantage of them. And now people are very aware of them now if you use them. So,
Right. So, coming around the table, we have Sharice Spand. Sharice Spand is going to tell us what she does, and then we're going to talk to some of our guys that are in the room.
My name is Sharice Spand. I'm with Advanced Wealth Strategies in Cornelius. I'm in charge of the education for women, but when all of this started, we were just in the midst of a major market correction, so to speak. So our clients were kind of going berserk right before COVID and all of this stuff happened. So it kind of transitioned us into let's say a frenzy, but trying to calm the water, so to speak.
Right.
Yeah. And
my
then,
money, the stock market's crashing. What am I supposed
Yeah,
to
what
do?
am I
What do I
supposed-
do?
yeah.
What do I do with it? Do I quit my job? What do I do? Like,
right, yeah.
do I take out my 401k? Do I close down the bank, run out,
It
take
was
all my
just
money?
so many different emotions that everyone was feeling at the time. And then you have the COVID, and then everything shut down. And then they're really like, oh my gosh, like, my accounts went down, it came back up, but now I need money. So what do I do? So it was kind of like a catch-22 for us, and we had to adjust the way we operated and did business because a lot of people are coming into the office, and when you're dealing with such intimate topics, it's hard to do over the phone or virtually, which is just not the same as being there.
Especially with somebody you don't know.
Right. And so a lot of our clients, they said, I can wait, we'll wait till this blows over and just, advise me as to what to do and,
What did you tell them to do?
So it depends on what the
I mean, like
scenario
in general, was it like
Don't
take your money
panic.
out, close down your bank account,
No.
don't spend?
Don't panic, that's the first thing, because, what goes up must come down and it's gonna go back up again. But, a lot of them, we had to transition them from accounts that were more variable to something more solid so that they were not at risk, temporarily. And then, depending on who they were and what they needed, some people had money set aside for things like this, pandemics and stuff. So if they lost their job, emergency fund we would call it, if they lost their job or if they were displaced temporarily and they needed access, they were able to access cash and that sort of thing. And that's something that we teach people too. But hindsight is 20/20 for
Now they get it.
yeah, now they understand it.
Now everybody gets it.
Remember you
Don't
told me
spend
2
nothing.
years ago about that emergency fund?
Yeah,
Like, what do you
like-
talk about that?
Like, how much money was that again?
Yeah,
Now
exactly.
we get it.
Yeah.
Like, no, nothing's gonna happen. I can spend my money. I'm gonna get paid. Everything's gonna be
Yeah.
fine. I got a job. I go to
Right.
work.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then something like that happens, and you're like, it's not your fault.
Right.
But everything stops.
It stops. Yeah.
Wow. So the other thing that has just been very pressing during this time period is we've just had a lot of social unrest. Jordan is a lawyer. So one of the reasons, it's a couple weeks ago, well, last week, couple weeks ago, I don't even remember what happened. I was like, hey, I just want to talk. Legally, there's a lot that has been happening in our community, in our world. A lot with these businesses, a lot with things shutting down, a lot with people applying for things or not getting it. People talking about suing the governor and everybody just wants to sue everybody. I'm just saying. So just tell us, like, COVID era, like, what are you seeing? Courts closed. Is court open?
So the courts just recently opened back June 1st. They have a maximum of 25 people in the courtroom at times. Try to get all the work done in the rear of the courthouse just so we can get in and get out from the courtroom and the judge and just try to be as safe as possible. We are meeting with clients back at our office here in Statesville. Just trying to deal with everything like everybody
Are
else
people
is.
scared? I mean, like, when people, I'm
Right.
just asking, when people are coming in, are they like, oh, or are you seeing the
Yeah.
opposite? They're like, this is
I
fine.
think people are ready to get back to their normal lives, maybe prematurely, but
Right.
I mean, we haven't seen anybody scared or timid to come in. And
Now, are you all dealing with anything out of the norm? Well, maybe not out of the norm, but anything different now that COVID, everybody's either staying home or like, is crime different, or are you all having a different type of cases now that
it's
COVID?
I think it's been about the same. I mean, we have got a few people like with larceny. I don't know if that's related to the protests and looting and all that stuff like that, but since courts have opened back up, we have started getting like appointed clients and people who are not able to pay for clients and representation like that. But we just started getting that this week, or June 1st, so last week, but everything just started to get back to normal right now.
So, how long have you been, I'm asking, I just don't know. How long have you been a lawyer?
Well, I graduated law school in December 2019. I took the bar exam in February of 2020, and I got my results back and I passed. And so I've only been an attorney for like 2 weeks.
Congratulations.
Well, my father's a criminal defense attorney,
Okay.
and my sister's also attorney here at the Daugherty Law Firm.
Okay.
But we do mainly criminal, and I'm going to start doing like personal injury type
Okay.
stuff like that. So.
Okay.
Wonderful.
That was kind of like
Only
about
jury
my
duty case
question.
was a slip and fall.
Personal injury. Seriously, like when, I'm just asking, when the churches and things started closing and people were like, oh, you can't do that, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't open this, you can't make me wear a mask, that's what made me call you. And then I was some other stuff happened. But yeah, I was like, can you sue people? I mean, I was just curious. Like, okay, if my employer tells me, okay, don't come to work, or I go to work and I get sick because my employer didn't clean. period, just in general, like, what can you do? Like, do people really have, I'm just curious, because I'm going forward, I personally just think this is going to be a nightmare. Well, my boss called me to work, and I got COVID-19, and now I want to sue. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I'm just wondering, like, what, you're saying legal.
There could be an actual cause, but it'd kind of be hard for an employee to sue an employee. Probably have to go through the, I can't think of the organization, but I don't know if it would be some type of discrimination claim or
Right.
something like that.
Right.
Or just I'm not sure.
I understand what you're saying. Well, and I don't think I've seen anything yet except for the suing the governor part. Not funny. It's not funny. It's really not funny. So, okay, as far as the opening up, like, what are we thinking? What are you thinking? What are you thinking? What should we be doing?
That's funny. It's like, okay, I'm just going to put out my thoughts, and I want y'all to join
This is
me.
everybody's
Yeah.
opinion. We're
This is a-
open
right.
forum, opinion.
Right, because it is so across the board with this, as far as what I'm seeing when I'm in the stores. We've got some that absolutely, I'm talking from the customer perspective, that absolutely will not wear a mask at all. They believe that it's not the right thing. There's some that believe that they're probably sleeping in it. They're probably walking around constantly with the mask. So it's on the extreme. Definitely because, like, when I'm at work, I cannot social distance. I have my mask on. There are so many studies right now. There's the one that was out today saying that if you're asymptomatic, then you may not be able to transmit. So this is unknown territory. So am I going to take additional precautionary measures? Yes.
Absolutely.
When I'm handling produce at a farmer's market in a grocery store, am I taking extra measures? Yes. These are areas, am I going to drink bleach? No. It's like, where is our common sense? It's just, it shocks
hope you
me.
don't.
No, it shocks me.
Please don't, Melissa, please
I'm good. It surprises me sometimes, well, no, it doesn't.
Look,
It really
she's like, no, it doesn't. I work at McDonald's. That surprises
Because you
me.
go through life and you think, so you don't realize how much somebody's going to react to a situation. If you just take a moment to sit here and figure it out. And then some people, I guess, have deemed themselves the mask police because they
Oh,
continue.
boy,
Yeah. They get brutal. The mask.
It's not over your nose. And it's not,
Right. It's not on
like-
properly. It's not the right fabric.
That mask is not gonna save your life. Okay, we'll do. I like my mask.
I know.
I'm just saying, don't have a heart attack because I'm standing beside you and I have on a mask. That's my preference.
It is, and it's like I miss
Okay.
being able to just walk into somewhere and smile. at
Yeah.
people. Just walk in and be able to have that comfortable one-on-one and relationships with folks. And I look forward to us getting back there. And it's going to take a little bit of time.
Right.
We're headed there.
So I have some young people in the room. COVID to me was a little different for me. I'm looking around. I think we're all about the same age. But COVID for me was different than I think it probably was for you guys. And I'm asking, like, what did you guys think? Like, did you like, I'm not gonna go anywhere, I'm not gonna do anything?
I quarantined myself because my parents are not old, but they're older, so I didn't want to put them at risk, and I knew of some people who knew someone who was getting
Yes.
it, and I was a little bit paranoid, so I didn't want to get it, I didn't want to die, I didn't want my parents to die, so I
Smart kid.
didn't go
Love
anywhere.
you.
Yeah, I just stayed home, and I didn't really think about it too much at that point, other than what I would read. But once I was at home, I was just like, I'll be good. 'Cause
I'm fine, right. How old are you, if you don't mind me?
I'm 22.
Okay, so Vinny is one of our producers. Vince is one of our producers. And I guess I wanted that perspective because one of the things that I kept seeing, and I know people are like, well, why are you talking about COVID? That's COVID. It's not.
It's not.
People are like, oh, we got a new problem. That still doesn't make the old problem go away.
We wish.
Makes it worse,
but-
actually.
So they're showing up places like, oh, we're not even talking about that anymore. This is over and it's done with. And, I fully respect that because so many of the people that I saw were like young people and they're like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, God, stop, sit down, back up, don't, chill out. No, it's fine. It may be fine for you, and it still may be fine for you, but it's probably still not fine for, like you said, your parents, your grandparents, those
Right,
people.
right.
And it's not safe. It's a virus. You don't know who it's going to attack, and you don't know why. You don't know what problems they have. So, you know, I think everybody's just very irritated about not getting back to work and unemployment. You know, we've had people talk about it, and I'm like, guys, I know it will be horrible. I've worked the whole time. So part of the time I was at home, and my name is Kimberly, and I'm with WSIC, and then I also have an organization called Dynamic Marketing Solutions.